Rhonda, Girl at Heart. I teach antique lovers how to create successful vintage and antique businesses that they love. And one of the ways I do that is through my regular vintage finds videos. Today I want to talk about glassware and books and ephemera. Let's start out with the glass. One of my favorite things to look for when I'm out garage selling or estate selling or thrifting is canning jars, or fruit jars as they're called by very serious collectors. This was a great find from this last weekend. It was at a garage sale held by an antique dealer going out of business, and everything was half price. So this was $2.50. She actually ended up giving it to me for $2. It's got embossed masons improved on the front, and it has a rim, a zinc rim with a glass top. So this is 3 pieces. The rim holds a glass lid. This lid does not go with this jar. So this jar is very excuse me, very pale green, and then this is kind of a very dark aqua. So I am going to keep my eye out for the proper glass top. But this piece would have been blown into a mold, and the way that I know that is that the top is ground. So coming off of the mold, this would have been a little bit higher, and it would have been broken off and all jaggedy and would have had to have been ground down. So a ground top is kind of slightly less transparent than the body of the jar, and you can see the mold marks right here on both sides. So this piece is worth about $25 to $30, possibly more. I'm going to research it. Nice little find though for $2. And while we're talking about canning jars, here's a nice pint jar. By the way, so that was $2. This one was 69 cents. I have not had a Brockway Clearview Masons. This is a new jar for me. And I bought it without the lid. I just put the lid on so you could see that it is a standard size, a standard pint that a zinc lid would fit onto. And I think it's worth about $15 to $20. Again, I'm going to do some more research. And then at the same thrift store, I picked up this jar also for 69 cents. This one was for a product. So this is French's Medford brand prepared mustard. Isn't that a beauty? Also holds a regular size zinc lid. This has an H/A mark on the bottom for Anchor Hawking, who made a number of fruit jars and jars for companies like French's over the years. I have a canning jar article on my website and a small price guide. I'm currently working on a canning jar course that I'm very excited about. And I go into a lot of detail about the history, the different manufacturers of the jars, the history. Did I say that already? Values, and all sorts of great information and wonderful full color photographs. So I will let you know about that, but I will link to the existing article that I have on my website down below. Another one of my favorite collectibles is flower frogs. This one is just a beauty with this kind of bulging top. It was made in France, which is pretty neat. That's embossed on the bottom right there. I paid $3 for it, and I think it's worth about $15 to $20. I sell flower frogs regularly on Etsy for really great prices, so that's where I will try this one. And this isn't glass, but it is a flower frog. It's a cage type flower frog. and it's not signed on the bottom. It should sell on Etsy for about $20. I will hopefully be listing those soon. Here's a really sweet, really nice dark aqua bottle. I like to sell these in groups of 3, different sizes and shapes, but the same aqua color. This one, I believe, was hand blown into a mold. It's got a ponto mark on the bottom that was ground down somewhat, not completely, but it's nice and smooth, not sharp, like a lot of them are. I would date this one to the late 1800s. It has a number of seeds, which are little air bubbles in the glass, which just adds to the interest of the piece. It was $1, and I like to sell the groupings of 3 for about $20. So hopefully that's how that will sell. Did you see my recent website article about toothpicks? Have all kinds of information about them, how they came to be, the different types. So this one is called Ruby Flash. That means that this ruby color was more or less painted onto the glass. It's not the color of the glass itself. This dates to 1908 is the date. It says Martha, 1908. So these were, you would typically find these as souvenirs in different cities. So sometimes the name of the city would be up here on the Ruby Flash. In this case, I think it was kind of like you see nowadays, like keychains that have people's names on them on a whole rack, and you have to sort through them all to find the one with your name on it. That's my thought, although don't hold me to that because I'm not 100% sure. It cost $1, and I will price it at $12 in my antique booth, but be sure to check out that article. I will link to it below. So when I find apothecary jars like this, whether they have a lid or not, I pick them up because I have some lids that I'm hanging on to that I have, hoping someday to match them up. I was not able to match this one, but it was just 50 cents. It was half off of $1. And I like to sometimes have small items contained in jars like this that people can pull out, sometimes in bags, sometimes with loose tags if they're all priced the same. And so it doesn't matter if it has a lid or not for something like that. These are wool dryer balls. I actually have a larger size. I love them. From Trader Joe's. I just thought these were so colorful that sometimes I sell jars that way with interesting or colorful things in them. So I'll take these out of this one and set them aside for another jar. And here's the last jar. I always snatch up these jars like this that they're like a grocery store jar. They're not necessarily that old, but people do love them. This is a nice small one, and so I might keep it. I have several of these in my pantry holding different things like packages of gum and granola bars, that sort of thing. And it cost $1. If I were to sell it, I would price it probably at $15. Nice size. All right, let's take a look at the books and the postcards that I have for today. Let's do the postcards first. So I do have an article on postcards planned, and so that's one of the reasons why I bought them. I don't sell a lot of postcards because it does take some expertise to know their value, but I was in an antique shop and the postcards were 10 for $1. So I couldn't pass that up, and I picked up 10. I know that almost anything with dogs on them, on it, are saleable. So I just thought that was super cute. So that cost 10 cents, and I think I'm gonna have a binder. I have a little album that's postcard sized, and I'm gonna fill it with cards and price them all at $1. But it's this one, like if you wanted to wait for a little while, it's probably worth $2 or $3. Here's a Christmas one. That one's handwritten on the front. The other thing I like to do with postcards is I like to scan them and then use them for craft projects. And so I loved that with little plump birds. And it is a German card, and it dates to, I think these all date to about the 1940s, although this one seems a little bit older. Has a 1 cent stamp on it. So that's German card, and here is another German card. It is a Happy New Year card. I like things with birds on them. That's going to get scanned. Here's a Best Wishes card, also a 1 cent stamp, and no manufacturer on that one. I also, at holiday time, like to post Happy New Year greeting, and I'll post that image on there. Things with cars are also collectible. Thought that was a great looking car. Malibu Classic Sedan. Very 19 sort of 70s look on that one. And then I like to pick up cards that have pictures or images from my region. So this is the New York State Capitol. So this should sell for more than $1, probably $2 or $3, because somebody local would like that. This one dates to 1914, and here's another one, different time period, same look though, right? Our Capitol is super interesting, and there are free tours given on Saturdays, or they used to be given on Saturdays. And then this is the view of Albany from across the river in Rensselaer. You can see the Capitol right there. This is a very old view. In the 1960s, this entire area around the Capitol was kind of raised. All the houses were raised, and there's a New York State Museum and tall office buildings, and so the skyline looks very different, and people would be interested in that. And then the last two are both Thanksgiving cards. Again, I will scan them and use them for projects. I think that would make, shrunk down, would make a great place card at a Thanksgiving table. So those were 10 cents each. Pretty awesome buy. Let's look at the books. I picked up this reader from, I believe this is from the 1930s. It's got some really, oh, goodness gracious. Well, it was originally 1892. This is a 1920s version, but I loved the images. Again, I will scan some of these and use some of them for different projects, sell some of them. It cost $1. That was from the same shop where I got the postcards. Here's a beautiful, it's got a leather binding and leather corners. It's Mother's Recompense. I have no idea what that is about, but this book is from the 1800s. I'm going to say 1890s. And I do collect leather bound books myself. I have a bunch decorating my office. If I were going to sell it, I would put probably $20 to $25 on that one. And the last bunch are all cookbooks. I have articles and a price guide on cookbooks, and they sell really great for me from my antique booth. Interesting, unusual ones I sell on eBay. So this is a crock pot cooking cookbook. These were $1 each, and I will put 10 to 12 on that one. Here's a bread book. This is from the 1980s. Originally $21. I will price it at 10. Farms First Farm Family Heritage Cookbook. Anything with farms, anything about farms, I'm going to pick up and sell that. I don't buy every plastic bound charity cookbook like this, but if it's farm related, if it's local, if it's Adirondacks or a local church, that sort of thing, I will pick it up if it costs like $1 or less. So I will price this at 8 to 10. And then lastly, I picked up this bag of cook booklets with one cookbook. So this is recipes from here and there. Really great shape. Says on the back, printed by Uganda Bookshop Printing Department. So these are recipes from women, Western women, this dates to 1972, who live in Uganda. So they're expatriates, expats. So this I will price at about 10, although I will look to see, it might do well on eBay. I'll have to check that out. This is from the Culinary Arts Institute, and a sweet online friend, Kathy, just sent me a cookbook guide, a cookbook price guide, and I was glancing through it the other day, and a number of these are in that guide, which is what kind of alerted me to it. And after reading it the very next day, I found this Culinary Arts booklet, and it should sell for about $4 or $5. Here's an older one. This is from the 1933 Mary Dunbar's New Cookbook. And this is from the Jewel Tea Company. So the Jewel Tea Company sold tea, and there are some advertisements in here. Tea and Spices, I think. There's the advertisement. But they collaborated with Homer Laughlin Company, China Company, and made the Jewel Tea line of china that was enormously popular for years. Not so popular now. It's a kind of a cream-colored china with little orange berries kind of on it. So this is going to appeal to people who collect cookbook pamphlets and to those who collect jewel tea. So I might list this on eBay. That could be worth up to $10. And then the last one that I have is a few cooking suggestions by Emma Hanko. And there's no date on this one. It's done in collaboration with Crisco. Crisco, the hydrogenated fat and shortening maker. And I think it dates to about the turn of the century just from the look of it. And it's not in great shape. But I do have, I think I mentioned an article coming up about cooking pamphlets. So this will be good to include in that, worth about $2. And that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed seeing my vintage finds. I'd love it if you give me a thumbs up, if you'd leave a comment, if you'd subscribe. That would be awesome. And as always, happy hunting.